Hey, what's going on, everyone? Mike here. This is episode 6 of our Q&A. I want to thank everyone that's been submitting questions. I do appreciate it. Before I get started, I want to let you know I put a video up. I'll link it up in the corner up here of my new office. If you want to check that out, I get a lot of questions about where I'm set up and how I do things. So please check that out while you can. Also, I'm working on a video that'll show what I do from the start to finish when I get a product in. I'm going to launch it next week sometime, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. I was going to do it on Friday again, but it's Black Friday, so there's no chance that I'll be able to get that done. But again, keep leaving your questions down in the comments. Follow me on social media. I appreciate all the support. Let's get going. WTF Beads asks, I see you were given negative feedback. How did you deal with this? Question number 2 is, do you think the more you list, the better? Alright, to answer the first part of your question, when I was given negative feedback, it was completely unwarranted, and I promise you it was. And I spent nearly 4 hours on the phone with eBay over a 3-day period to try and get it removed. And they were completely unhelpful. I mean, utterly unhelpful. They basically said there's nothing they can do for me because I can't prove that the buyer was lying. Basically, the buyer, without contacting me, left me negative feedback and said that they were charged for shipping, which is impossible because I ship all of my items for free. Also, I prepay labels ahead of time, so there was no possibility of them being charged whatsoever. It literally wasn't possible. I even contacted my local postmaster who said that because it was priority mail flat rate, there was there's no room for error. And I even got them to give me a notice, which I sent to eBay, and they still would not remove the feedback. They basically said that they don't get involved in it, it's not worth their time to look that deep into a case, and that I have to deal with the negative feedback. I'm not kidding. I was furious, as you can imagine, and I went off on the guy on the phone multiple times, but that got me nowhere. So at the end of the day, I just have to live with it. I'm not happy about it. I think it's complete bullshit. And to be honest, I didn't deserve the feedback. I didn't charge them for shipping. They weren't charged when it arrived, and they didn't contact me. eBay should have a policy that if you want to leave negative feedback, you should have to contact the seller. That way you can try to work it out ahead. You shouldn't be able to leave feedback without them knowing. Because aside from that, I didn't even realize I had negative feedback for 4 days because eBay does not tell you when you get a negative feedback. You actually have to click on your feedback and look. So I had no idea I had a negative feedback. I haven't had one in nearly 2 years. And now I got one, which is very irritating, but life goes on. I'll keep selling, and it'll go away eventually. The second part of your question is a little interesting to me. I don't think the more you list, the better. I think what matters is that what you list sells. You can list 10,000 items. If you only sell 9 of them, then you wasted your time. So my suggestion to anyone listing would be list as much as you're selling. Try to keep an even pace. Yes, you have to get ahead. So say you get 500 listings up and you're selling 100 per week, then keep 100 listings up. That way it's consistent. If items aren't selling, put them on sale, put them up for auction, and turn your inventory. A lot of people ask me how long I keep items in my stock. Now with that question, it's really kind of a complicated process. I tend to list items on Amazon for about 2 months. If they don't sell on Amazon, I remove them from Amazon. Then I photograph them and catalog them into my website at eBay, where I put them up for at least another 2 months. If they don't sell at that point, they then go to auction even if they're losing money. Reason being, yes, it's not good to lose money, but it's also not good to have stuff sit on your shelves. It's okay to lose money on items, turn them, and get new stock in that will sell. So my suggestion to you would be list what you're selling after you get to a point where you feel comfortable. ShoeBooty46 asks, how do you determine on how much inventory to stock at any given time without spending too much or leaving yourself short? Do you have a good rule of thumb for this? Alright, ShoeBooty, this is a good question. For me, there is no rule of thumb whatsoever. I stock as much as I can physically and mentally afford to keep in stock and list by myself right now. If I got to the point where it's next level, then I would hire someone in to list with me and I would stock even more. I think if your stock is selling, then it's absolutely best to have as much stock on hand as you can, as long as it's selling. If you have 10,000 items in stock and you've had them for a year, then you have a problem. If you have 1,000 items in stock and you've only had them for a week, and they keep selling and you keep stocking up, that's great. It has nothing to do with the amount of stock you have, it has to do with it selling. This goes with the other part of the question from before, which asked about how many listings you put up. If you can sell the stock you have, it's always best to have the most amount you can have. For me, I tend to put probably 50% of my income back into stock and then the other 50% for bills and everything else. Luckily, recently I was approved for many credit lines and I actually maxed all those credit lines out and filled up the entire inventory for Christmas and Black Friday. It was very risky and I don't know if it's going to pay off yet, but if it does, I'll let you guys know. But for me, it's worth the risk. You have to take the risk, and you have to just fill up your inventory as much as you possibly can if it's selling, which everything I have is selling because it's Christmas season. Now during the lean season, maybe you don't want to stock up so much for online, but you want to sell locally. It's always most important to keep as much capital as you can on hand if it's selling. And since I did my tour, I think I had 9,800 in resale value. I'm now up to 11,500, and my sales have been super consistent. I've had over 200 sales in the last month just on eBay. That doesn't even count Amazon and the Shopify site. So I think it all just really depends on your situation and the kind of things you sell also. If you sell $5,000 arcade machines, you probably don't want to have 10,000 of those available. If you sell $1, little knickknacks, maybe you want thousands of those available. So it really is tailored to your situation, but I think most important is that things are selling. If they're not selling, remove them from your stock, get rid of them, auction them off, and then find stuff that does sell and keep it stocked up, keep it going. It's all about being consistent. Spending $10,000 on stock, selling it all, and then running out and then doing it over is not going to get you anywhere. Keep stocked up throughout the whole entire time, consistent. Luke asks, I've been building up capital to reinvest, and I keep spending on things such as nice phones, reducing my capital that I could multiply with a little work. Do you have similar experiences? How do you recommend I avoid this? Hey Luke, I think this is all about self-control, and honestly I don't have this issue, so it's not something I can really comment about how I avoid it, but I'll explain my situation in a second. For me, a nice phone would never come before my business. I can care less about the phone I have. I can care less about material things, really. I'm not a fancy person. I don't like fancy things. So if you're spending the money you have for your business on nice phones and stuff before you're even making money for your business, your priorities are all screwed up. And I'm not even kidding. They're really not good. You have low self-control and you need to work on it. You really need to set goals for yourself. Spend the money on your business, and then once you hit a certain level in your business, you can spend the extra profit you made and get the items you want. But if you're cashing in way before that, then you are going to have serious problems and you're never going to make it. So my suggestion to you would be reevaluate how you're doing things, rethink the whole situation. I personally only spend the bare minimum on the things I want or need. I do not buy myself things often. I do not spend any of my extra income on myself. I spend it all back in my business, because that's what I want to grow. That's my goal right now. For me, I have $4,000 in bills due in the next 30 days, and I haven't bought myself anything in weeks. I don't spend any cash whatsoever unless I have bills or something due, because I know I can't afford it, and I know it's not going to get me where I need to be. So reevaluate your situation. You really need to have self-control, and honestly, that's a really bad problem to have if you're a business owner. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it as always. Make sure you leave your new questions in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you haven't. There's going to be a video next Monday, which will be another Q&A, and next Tuesday will be the tour from start to finish with the product. If you haven't checked out the video, my new office is up in the corner here. I appreciate you guys supporting the community so much. Continue to do your thing. Thanks, you guys rock.